You've got questions? Andrew Mason has the answers. This is Mason's Mailbag, presented by Prime Sport.
This week's Mailbag takes us to the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis. I'm Andrew Mason. Thanks for joining me, and we're going to start with a question about one of the stars of this week's Combine, Notre Dame guard Quenton Nelson. This one from @RadicalTuesday on Twitter. Everything I watch on Quenton Nelson has me salivating at the crushing run block possibilities. Am I alone hoping for him at the number 5 pick? You're not alone, quite frankly. Now, I think for the Broncos to take him number 5, they have to settle the quarterback position first. So, for example, I think they would have to get Kirk Cousins to really be in a position to get Quenton Nelson number 5. If they could get Kirk Cousins in free agency, then that would free them to take Nelson number 5. And some may say, hey, number 5, it's too high to take a guard. Well, I disagree in this case. In fact, on my overall draft board, I would say Quenton Nelson is the top player, number 1. And I'm taking that independent of where you might pick a guy based on his position, etc. I think he's the best player in this draft. You look at the film, he's absolutely dominant at times, and he backed that up here at the Combine. 35 bench press reps, outstanding workout overall. You can't help but be impressed with this guy. Certainly he has the attitude you want. He never quits on a play. You know, basically anything in his field of vision is blockable. You see him make a block at the line of scrimmage. You see him make blocks downfield. He goes all the way to the whistle and sometimes a little bit beyond. A dominant player. I think he might even be a Pro Bowler in year 1, could be an All-Pro by year 2. Guys like Quenton Nelson don't come around very often, but realistically, for the Broncos to be able to take Quenton Nelson number 5, they've got to have the quarterback position settled. So I think whether they can take Nelson, it might depend on what happens in free agency over the next 2 to 3 weeks. If they can get Kirk Cousins, for example, they could be in great position to take Nelson number 5. Another draft question, this one from Sam Minkovitz. With the Broncos having 10 picks in the draft, do you think the Broncos should package some of their later picks to move up and get a good DB later in the first round? Certainly that's a possibility, especially when you see some of the guys that could be available late in round 1. Iowa's Josh Jackson, for example, could be a possibility that's available there, and he would be a pretty good fit late in round 1. That being said, you know, the Broncos have some needs all over the roster, and it's a pretty deep draft, so I'm not sure that you want to go taking a bunch of picks to get another pick in the first round. Maybe you just want to sit and see who falls. There is talent available in round 2, round 3, even round 4. We saw some of those guys on display at the Senior Bowl and the Shrine Game in particular. I thought that showed off some of the depth in the DB class, so I wouldn't necessarily do that. And also, I wouldn't simply confine the possibility of moving up into the first round to moving up for a defensive back. I would look at other positions, and I would just simply see how the draft board falls. A trade like that, it might be a reaction to how the draft is going, and maybe it's not a defensive back. Maybe it's a wide receiver who falls. Maybe it's a tight end if you want to bolster that position. Maybe it's an inside linebacker or another edge rusher. There's a lot of possibilities there. Defensive back, I think the Broncos may be looking at that, but I think it's more than that at this point. I don't think you can isolate it on that position at this point. It's too early, too many possibilities. Thanks for the questions. If you want to join us next week when we're back at the UC Health Training Center, go to denverbroncos.com/Mason's Mailbag. Find me on Twitter, @MaceDenver. Use the hashtag AskMace, or tune in every weekday, Monday through Friday, 1st and 10 at 10 on Orange and Blue 760 with me, Ryan Edwards, and Ring of Famer Steve Atwater. Until next week, take care and thanks for watching.